All right. I'm going to quickly talk about Peter Schiff, who I guess he's either like the manager or he's a partner in a hedge fund called Euro Pacific Capital. And he's the guy, if you see him on YouTube, he's got a pretty popular YouTube channel, or maybe it's a podcast or both. But basically, he talks a lot about, Bitcoin and how much he hates it. And he talks about, gold, how you should buy gold. And he tries to make people scared about inflation. So what this guy does is he rightly attacks Bitcoin. He basically says Bitcoin is worthless. It has no intrinsic value. And it basically has no use. It's just a speculative asset where people try and time supply and demand to make a quick buck. And that's correct. Bitcoin is trash, as is the rest of cryptocurrency. It is literally a medium of exchange. It doesn't produce anything. You can't value it. It's impossible. It's all based on hype, much like the GME and other stocks, and supply and demand. When people talk about Bitcoin, more people buy it and get excited about it. And then when some stupid article comes out about the end of crypto, or, Janet Yellen says something about it, then the freaking price crashes. It's all a racket and it's all a scam. So I advise you, if you want to invest in crypto, which you're not investing, you're speculating. If you want to invest in crypto, keep it to 5% or less of your portfolio, and then have everything else in a total world stock market index fund, or maybe some bonds if you're a little bit older. All right. But crypto is not an investment. You are just literally playing a stupid game. It goes up and down, and there's no value to it. It doesn't produce any cash flow. It doesn't produce anything. It's just a thing that you buy. And if you have something that produces nothing, like a piece of dirt, dirt probably produces more than Bitcoin. But if I have a little jar of dirt, how do I get people to buy the jar of dirt? Well, I hype it up. I say, this dirt is it's got special magical qualities. And then I make up some BS to get people to buy it. And that's basically it. That's Bitcoin in a nutshell. It is worthless trash. So Peter Schiff is right. He's absolutely right. You don't invest in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is trash. And I hope one day it goes to zero so I can laugh. And I will do a live stream and get hammered just dumping on Bitcoin. But maybe that day will never come. I don't know. But here's my problem with Peter Schiff. And I've said this about the financial industry at large. They always have an agenda. They're always trying to sell you something. Now, you may wonder, what am I trying to sell you? This strongman, he acts like he's above everybody else. And he's not trying to sell me anything. Well, I freaking am, okay? I'm trying to sell you to subscribe to my freaking channel, because when you subscribe, I get ad revenue once I get 1,000 subscribers. That's what I'm selling. You subscribe to my channel, I make money from advertisements. That's why I'm doing this, okay? But I'm not incentivized to sell you a crap product. I am incentivized to give you good information. That's what I'm doing on this YouTube channel. I just want advertising revenue. And I want you to buy my book, Stop Being a Broke Loser. But that's your choice, all right? It's on Amazon. So I'll get to that question in a second. Let me finish with Peter. So I'm not trying to sell you garbage. What is Peter trying to sell you? He's trying to sell you gold. He wants you to invest in gold. Now, gold is a better investment than Bitcoin because gold actually has uses. People want it. They want to wear it on jewelry. It can be used in like technology. It actually has some uses. It actually has some intrinsic value, whereas Bitcoin has none. But what Peter tries to do is he tries to scare you about inflation. He talks about the central bank, which is the Federal Reserve, and how they're printing money, which they are, which central banks normally do during recessions. And he tries to make you think there's going to be massive inflation in the future. Now, is it possible? Yes, it's very possible there might be inflation. But the central bank also has tools to make sure inflation doesn't get too crazy. All right. So here's the thing. If there's massive hyperinflation, is a piece of gold going to protect your wealth? No, I don't think it is. It's literally a piece of metal. At the end of the day, you're buying a shiny rock. Now, instead of buying a shiny rock, what if you bought a company, right? And you can do that with a stock. Well, what does a company do? It produces, let's say it's a car company, it produces cars. Now, the price of those cars might increase with inflation because there's more money circulating, but that company is still producing the same amount of cars. So in effect, you're kind of growing your wealth or you're growing your revenue with inflation, because as there's more dollars circulating, that same level of production is going to fetch higher prices on the market. So if you own stocks in the long run, they're actually a pretty good hedge against inflation. And they actually produce real things. They produce cars, they produce food, they produce services, all that stuff. Gold doesn't really produce anything, okay? You can use it. Yeah, it's not completely worthless, but it's not all it's hyped up to be, all right? It's a relic of the past. Back in the day, it was a great way to do currency. We pegged our dollar to the gold. People actually traded with gold, way back in the day. It was a great currency. But now we're in 2021, okay? And we have fiat currency. We can actually control our money supply, and we can use that control to make sure our economy doesn't collapse, all right? Fiat currency isn't the end of the world. And they're not going to print money into infinity because everybody knows hyperinflation is bad, all right? So don't let these freaking people scare you into buying crap to protect yourself from inflation, because I don't think it's going to happen personally. I think the central bank is not going to let hyperinflation set in because it's happened before. There's been inflation and the central bank raised interest rates, and that eventually drove inflation down. So that's what will happen. Even if there is inflation, rates will be raised and inflation will eventually come back down. And the worst thing you could buy is gold. It's just a shiny rock. It doesn't do anything. I'd rather own every company in the world because I own a part of every productive asset in the world. Every publicly traded factory, every publicly traded rental property that rents places out to people. I own everything in the world, okay? And owning everything in the world is better than owning a shiny rock. Owning everything in the world will protect you more than a shiny rock, okay? So when it comes to Peter Schiff, he's right about Bitcoin, but don't buy into the BS about hyperinflation and what should I buy? Just buy a total world stock market index or target retirement fund, and you'll be fine, okay? So, question, what about Grant Cardone saying cash is trash? Now, Grant Cardone, he kind of rubs me the wrong way. I think he's like a sketchy, almost like financial advisor kind of guy. And I've seen other videos, if I'm thinking about the correct guy, where he talks about how a 401k is a ripoff, which is stupid. It's a horrible thing to tell the people. Now, when it comes to saying cash is trash, he's right and he's wrong. Now, if you have a short-term financial goal, and let's say you want to buy a car in cash in the next, 2 months, you don't want that money in stocks because stocks fluctuate so rapidly that you could think you have $2,000 saved aside for that car. Then the market crashes the next day and boom, you only have $1,000. So if you have a short-term goal you want to meet, yeah, cash is not trash. It's actually really smart to keep the cash so you don't get these wild fluctuations. Now, if you have a long-term goal, like let's say you want to save for your retirement, yes, in that specific instance, cash is trash because in the long run, the value of the dollar decreases and decreases and decreases because of inflation. That's just a general rule. There's generally 2 or 3% inflation on average every year. So if you hold your entire retirement savings in cash or cash equivalents, yeah, it's trash. You're not going to build enough wealth. You're not going to build enough principal to be able to live off of. So for your long-term investments, cash is trash. For short-term financial goals, cash is not trash. So there's a big distinction there. In addition to that, when you have retirement or emergency savings, you need to hold that in cash because it's literally there in the event of an emergency. Let's say your car breaks down or your freaking heater goes out or your roof needs a repair. You want that cushion of cash, even though you're losing money to inflation every year. You need that cushion of cash because if you don't have it, then you're going to have to sell your stocks or go into debt to pay off a big bill that comes up unexpectedly. All right. So I wouldn't listen to that guy that much. He's kind of a piece of crap, in my opinion. If I'm thinking about the right guy, he's kind of a financial advisor with his hair and, he does these hyped up videos. But, he's right and he's wrong. So don't think that you hold cash. That means you're dumb. You're not. And cash is not trash, depending on when and where you're going to deploy it. I have a ton of cash, I have like 5% of my portfolio where I kind of play around with stocks, and, just for fun. And what I did is I think the market's extremely overvalued, in my personal opinion. So I sold all my little play investments, and I'm holding that in cash as like an opportunity fund. So if the market crashes, well, I can use that 5% and kind of buy into more, stocks. Now, the majority of my portfolio I'm not touching because I never, ever touch my retirement savings. I have a plan. It's 100% stocks, and I stick to it, and I don't try to time the market. But when it comes to, my play money, yeah, I'm going to try to time the market. And in that scenario, I decided to convert all of my stocks for my play fund into cash. So I have that cash standing by, and I can deploy it into stocks if there's a big crash in the market. In worst case, if there's no crash, I'll just max my Roth IRA next year, okay? I know, it's the end of the world. So that's what I do. So ignore, a lot of these people are scum, okay? You need to educate yourself. Go to bogleheads.org. Learn about the basics of index investing. Ignore all these idiots that tell you not to invest in tax advantage accounts or whatever. They're all scum, and they're all trying to sell you something. Peter Schiff's trying to sell you gold in his stupid investments. Grant Cardone, I don't even know what that guy sells. Like, what does he sell? What product does he produce? Or does he just vampire and leech off people? I don't know. But you need to be careful. You need to ask people, how are you compensated? What is your ultimate goal? I'm very clear about my ultimate goal. I want to make ad revenue on YouTube, and I want to sell my freaking book, Stop Being a Broke Loser. That's it. That's all I'm doing. These other people, I don't know. But that's that, all right? So I might make one more video. I think somebody emailed me a while back, and I just haven't got to his question yet. So I'll get to that, maybe make one more video, and then I'm off for the night. So subscribe. If you have a question, email me, and I will give you a live, personalized, anonymous video answering your personal finance questions. Tell your friends about me so I can grow my channel and make lots of money. You guys have a wonderful day.